Neuro DSP has finally done something I've been wanting them to do for a very long time, and I'm excited to show you. So if you follow Neuro DSP or if you've bought any of their plugins, you know a while back in 2021, I think, they released the Archetype Gojira, which has gone down in fame for me as my go-to plugin for heavy, chunky rhythms, and I just use it all the time for any of the original music that I make, any of the covers that I make. Archetype Gojira is my go-to for those chunky chunks and the wow wows. The other day, I get an email, and they say Gojira X is finally here. So Neuro DSP have been going back to a few of their older plugins and doing X versions of them, where they're like adding some of the features that have been coming out with more recent plugins, and I don't know how they're choosing which ones they go back to make an X version of. Maybe it's the ones that are the most popular, but I am so excited that they finally went back to one of my favorite plugins, the Archetype Gojira. So if you already owned Archetype Gojira, you just go to your download page on the Neuro DSP website with signed into your account, and you can download Gojira X, no extra charge. Bam, you're good to go. You've got an updated version of it with awesome new stuff that I'm going to show you in a second. And if you don't have it, I think there's like a 30% off deal you can get for it. Take advantage of it. So with Gojira X, they have gone back and done a few different things. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and compare between Gojira, the original, and Gojira X. So if you look on your screen, you'll see I've got both versions of the plugin pulled up right now. And on the left is the Gojira X, and on the right is the original Gojira plugin. Now they went through and they completely revamped like all of the graphics and everything in this, and they look really phenomenal. I can't say anything bad about what they've done. They just made them look more high res and just even cooler. Like, just look at the difference between all the different sections. They just have something extra special to them. You can really tell with the amplifiers. Like, I think they look so much better the way they have them in the X version. Like, it's just more detailed, more high res, it looks more badass. And even the cabinet section, right? It looks better, the cabinet looks cool. You got all the bells and whistles, they're all changed. I like the look of the EQ that you got here much more than on the original. And the post effects pedals are just like the pre-effects, but they're more high res. I don't know, they just look better. You'll also notice on Gojira X that the UI is a little bit different looking, and I'm okay with it for the most part, except for the menu, to be honest. The menu here it looks like a file directory in a way. I'm not too much of a fan of it. I kind of preferred the original. Like, that looks really good to me. This, I get, is maybe cleaner, but like, I prefer the original Gojira setup with trying to find presets, and that's just my personal opinion. But let's get to the things that they added to the plugin. You get some new bells and whistles with the Archetype Gojira X now. And you'll look here at the bottom, we'll start with the simple stuff. You've got a tempo, a global setting you can set for the delay into your effects and stuff with the metronome and all that fun stuff with the BPM thing at the bottom, where you can set whatever your BPM is at. You can go to your metronome and play a metronome for when you're practicing. So if you're using the standalone version of this, you can practice in using a time metronome, and you can change the time signatures. They got a bunch of different time signatures here and different breakdowns of them. You got different sounds for the metronomes that you can switch between. It's like, it's great to have, and you can pan it, you can increase the volume, you can change all sorts of stuff, and you can tap. So having a metronome built into it, especially for those that use it as a standalone plugin, that's an awesome feature to have. Another thing they added actually is they've changed the tuner. So when you look between the two here, they've got a live version of the tuner now, so it'll just keep going as you play and display it at the bottom. At the bottom left of the Archetype Gojira X. You'll see the actual tuner at the bottom showcasing the notes that you're playing. So if you do use these plugins and stuff live, or if you're just looking at your screen, bam, you can see that everything's good and in tune. They also changed the look of it, which is like, here or there, but like they definitely adjusted that. Now, to the two main biggest features that I think got added to the Archetype Gojira X, other than some other bug fixes and optimization that they've done, they've added the doubler now. So normally if you're playing the standalone version, you just have a mono signal of the guitar right down the center of your speakers or of your stereo image. Now you can have the doubler, and you can change the delay between the two sides that give the double effect. So you go from playing on a single mono down the center to now having a double sound. And that I find really useful because when I practice, I use the standalone version of the plugins, and if I'm playing along to a song and there's no doubler effect going on, it's good because I can hear myself over the guitars of whatever song I'm playing along with, but it just makes it sound really weird. If you turn the doubler on, it gives you the stereo image. The guitars are panned as if they're in the song themselves with whatever you're playing along to, and it just kind of immerses you into your practice routine in the songs that you're playing around with so much more. Now we get to the fun one. They added the transpose feature that they've had since I think the Archetype Petrucci. They've added it into this, and that has been one thing I have been waiting for, along with the doubler effect, for a long time for Archetype Gojira, because like I said, it is my go-to for just practicing rhythm stuff and recording rhythm stuff, and the transpose feature is something really useful to have for a multitude of reasons. People who want to use extended range guitars but don't have any physically with them, can't afford them, things like that. You can turn a 6-string and make it sound like an 8-string with the transpose. I've got my 7-string here, so all I gotta do is bring this down by 5 semitones, and guess what? That's standard 8-string tuning, F sharp. And if I really wanted to go crazy, I could go down 5 more semitones and basically have the tuning of a 9-string. So if that's something that suits your fancy, you can do that now. So you can add the doubler effect, you can transpose your stuff all the way down a full octave, you can throw on the metronome and practice all your genty gents all freaking day using even just a 6-string guitar. I'm super glad they did this. It has been one that I've been waiting for them to update for a long time, and I think it's really cool that they do this and go make the X versions of these plugins and don't charge you more if you owned the original. And the reason I think it's very cool is because they very much could be that type of company that really releases new plugins with these new bells and whistles and goes, hey, sorry, if you want the transpose feature, you're gonna have to buy some of our more recent plugins. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. Or you're gonna have to make like an effects chain in Reaper with like the plugin you want and then turning off all the effects on like the Petrucci to just use the transpose and have all this extra CPU power that's being used up. It makes it so much easier just to have it built into the plugins that you love. I think that's really, really cool then, because it shows that they care about what people love, and they know that they've got some really solid plugins. Like the Gojira, I think, is probably one of their most popular ones. I think it's one of the best plugins that they've put out, and for them to go back, make an X version of it, add some bells and whistles, optimize it, even go as far as to changing the graphics. They didn't have to do that, but they just wanted to improve it because they know people love it, and they're giving people extra things at no extra charge. And it feels really great. It makes me proud to say that I use their products and that I really love the stuff that they do. And it makes me excited for things that they can do down the road with extra other bells and whistles that they may add to older plugins. They may go back and do all of their plugins and do an X version of them just so they have the doubler and the transpose effect and the metronome and all that fun stuff, just because they know people still love their older plugins and use them. And so I really respect them for doing such a thing, because it's really, really cool. They don't have to do that, but they do. Well, that was just a really quick update video for you guys. If you didn't know, if you own the Archetype Gojira and you're just now hearing about this, go download the X version of it and use that from now on. It doesn't like replace the original one in sense of like a program that you run. They're going to be two separate ones. Like on my desktop, I have the Gojira and the Gojira X. So they're basically separate apps. So if you like the older version for some reason, you can still go back and use that one. But I ain't going back. I'm going to use the X version from now on, and I love it, man. I really do. So thank you guys so much for watching. Before you leave, make sure you check out some of the videos on your screen, and I'll see you in the next video.